So for today, my ambition was to talk about the whole journey in the 5 weekends and make that super interactive and so on. And I've realized that this is unrealistic. So instead, I would like to focus on the first two um, weekends or the first two steps. Even if you don't join the program, it's still journey is still relevant. Um, and and these first two are creating safety and freedom in yourself. Um, so creating safety, freedom, permission just between you and you. And then the second step is to do that in relationship uh, with uh, with individual people. And then the third step would be to do that in groups and on a more and to look at it through a more societal level. And what I want to do is for each of these two steps, so the within yourself and the in connection step, I want to give a bit of my theory and my thoughts about it, and then do something interactive with it in the group. And if at any moment you want to interrupt me, you can just say pause, or you can say my name, and to ask a question, or to say, hey, I'm getting distracted, or you're losing me, or you know, it's like a practice of actually keeping yourself uh, asking for what you need to keep yourself in. Uh, and of course, if at any moment you realize, oh, I actually shouldn't be in this call, but I should be doing something else entirely, then you're also super welcome to just say that and leave. Um, does that sound good? Any questions around that? No?
No,
Okay.
no questions. Sounds good.
Okay, then I'm just gonna share my screen. So the tagline for this program is cultivate what makes you human and share it with your world. And um, and that's a lot of big words. And what I like to do is to take this kind of stuff and then make it as simple as tangible and small as I can. And in the last call, I I I shared one perspective around that, and in this call I do it in a different way. And the concept that I want to start with is called domain. And a domain is basically, you know, let's say your inner world plus your body. So everything that lives inside you, your thoughts, your emotions, your desires, your boundaries, values, preferences. I could put a lot of more words here, but basically, let's say your inner world plus your body. Um, and 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 you could say that you have a right to have your own domain, right? And at the same time, you have a responsibility for it. Um, so, for example, to look after your own emotional well-being. Um, Then a nicer perspective that I like to add is that your domain is yours to kind of discover and enjoy as you make your way through life, and ideally do that in an attuned way. So not so much trying to selfishly only make the most out of your own life, uh, but rather doing it in a way that works well together with others. Um, Now, so last in the last call, and we'll also work with this during the weekends, I shared my model around this, um, which is this whole pyramid, which I'm not going to now explain in detail again. Uh, but basically, the top three layers are what a lot of the practices are about. It's like noticing your inner world, welcoming it, and then acting on it in some kind of way. Um, And then what's needed in order to do that is to feel safe and to feel permission to do that. And this is what I'm going to talk a little bit more about right now. Now, safety, it exists in two places, you could argue. Like it exists around you, and it exists within you. So outer safety is like, yeah, are you actually safe, right? Is there actual danger um, uh, in a specific social situation or in general? So it's about, are you welcome to be in the room, let's say, which ties in a lot with also privilege and identity, like who is welcome and who is not welcome, and so on. And then the inner safety is how safe you feel in your system. And this is partially the result of the actual circumstances in this moment, but it's also the result of what you've been historically exposed to, right? If I, with my identity, let's say, have historically been quite safe to exist in certain spaces, and someone else with a different kind of identity has historically not been so welcome and treated so well, then our base level of safety is going to be very different, even when we're in the exact same circumstances right now. Um, so, so, so something that I like to think is that safety actually shapes my experience in the current moment. Like inner safety is reflected in the nervous system, right? If I'm not feeling safe, I will maybe be in a kind of fight flight mode energy where it's like, fuck, I need to do something to make myself safe. Or I might collapse, you know, it's like, oh fuck, it's just all too much. I don't know what to do. Or I might be a bit frozen, like wanting to act, but feeling at the same time not able of doing to do it, um, and so on. So and with all these different states come different thoughts, different emotions, come different things that I think I'll want to do. If, for example, if I feel when I start to feel anxious about, oh, let's say not enough people are joining my new program or whatever, then often my nervous system state goes into a fight flight response. And then I start to think, I need to work harder. I need to sleep less, you know? So it shapes very much what I think I want to do. And then if I bring my nervous system back into safety, then those thoughts and desires and emotions around it change. Um, then the permission layer is more about what of my inner world do I let myself express? And again, there's like an outer and an inner component to this. So in any social context that I find myself in, or that you find yourself in, there is different levels of permission to show different parts of yourself. And again, the kind of cultures that you've been exposed to throughout your life, you also internalize them, right? So let's say that the culture in your childhood home, or the culture of where you grew up in, or the friends you had when you were young, they also form like an inner model of what is okay and what is not okay. So a very common example is that if in childhood it wasn't okay to be angry or sad, then throughout life you're likely to feel that on some degree it's not okay to feel angry or sad, right? So you carry that with you, even when maybe now you're with people who would fully welcome that. So whatever of your inner world you would like to express, it gets filtered through, you know, this permission filter. And
Yeah.
then, you know, what makes it true, you can try to create real moments with. So parts of your experience you can notice, to some degree you can welcome them, and then to some degree you can act on them. And this is something you can learn. Maybe let's take a breath. For those who want, you can use one. Is this helpful so far?
Yes.
Okay. Now, something that an idea that I read a lot and hear a lot, and that I kind of like to push a bit back against is like something like your authentic self, or a phrasing like, "Oh, you need to be authentic." I don't believe in that, and I don't think it's a helpful idea. One reason of that is that, you know, whatever is true for me in one moment is not true in the next. And when I try to think what is my authentic self, um, it's easy to start creating again another story of who I think I should be. Of course, I would, attach a lot of great qualities to that. I would say, I was always need to be open to others, and I should always be, such and so. Um, but it gives again new reasons that I can judge myself for, right? So so I rather in my own life and the people I work with, I rather think it's helpful to develop this skill of creating real moments and learning to express more of what's true for me in a given moment, and just knowing that sometimes I will be able to do that and sometimes I won't. And either way is okay. Um, another reason why um, I like to I find this authentic self idea a bit difficult is because I think we have many inconsistent parts and experiences at the same time. So you can say, okay, there's one domain, there's all of this, um, but there can be different parts in my experience that just have kind of that want and think and feel different things at the same time. So let's say right now for me, there's a part of me that's just holding this talk and holding this call, and that's quite content with that, and so on. And there's a part of me that would just like to close my computer and go to the sauna, you know? Um, and that doesn't make the other one less true, uh, but they're just both there. Um, and I think that kind of embracing our inner inconsistency is a very liberating thing. And also when we take it to the relational level, like embracing each other's inconsistencies and being accepting of that and welcoming to that, takes so much of the pressure off to always show up as the perfect human. Um, yeah. So for me, who of you knows this idea of like parts work, like working with your parts? Just raise your hands if you've heard this idea before. Okay, everyone with the cameras on. Great. So for me, this creates a lot of freedom. It's like if I would pretend here sitting to be one part and I say, oh, I want to go to the sauna, then that creates some friction, right? It's like, Meta, why are you? That's not professional. But if I say, yeah, part of me would like to go to the sauna, it's like, yeah, it's just part of my experience. Um, so, oh, that was not good. So in this first level of creating safety and permission, we focus on within yourself, right? So what we do here is it's kind of noticing and welcoming your parts. Um, then the invitation there is to try to observe yourself and others with curiosity. So the focus is a bit on yourself, but we still do it within the group, right? Because if it's just you alone, um, it's different than being witnessed in it. And also when you can witness each other in different parts of your experience, that also creates more permission within yourself. So there's an interplay between like outer and inner permission that we use to create more of both of them. I'm talking, it's already there. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Cultivating inner safety, cultivating inner permission. And then the irony of this is that doing that requires also safety and permission. So if I make that like a concrete example, what we did at the start of the call just now, where I invite you to do something nice for your body and share that with the group, doing that often creates regulation, right, in the nervous system. But at the same time, a part of you might be like, yo, Mette, I don't know these people, and you're telling me to do stuff with my body in front of the camera and invite people to do that with me. Maybe part of you is like feels like not safe at all to do that, right? So there's a balancing act about around increasing safety and permission, but needing it to create it, right? That's a bit the art. Um, and and this is why often people like facilitators and so on talk about what's your learning edge. And by edge, what they mean is it's like the edge of your comfort zone. So it's like you're creating a little bit more safety and permission for yourself, but you're not um, overstretching your nervous system. But you're also not staying fully within your comfort zone where you're doing things that you have always done. So you're trying to slowly move your edges. Ah, yes, this is the point where we do something. But maybe before we do something, are there any, I'll just stop sharing my screen for a moment. I just wonder what comes up for you after I share these things, like anything that you can relate it to in your life, something you realized because of this, or a question, or let's just make it a bit um, interactive.
Um, I just thought because you talked about the idea of authenticity, and I also find it quite, I don't know, yeah, can't really relate to it. And I was also thinking that part of it for me is also that like this experience of the parts changing, like when I accept them or like when I look at them, and then it's not really, I don't really know what the quality of the part is anymore. So it doesn't really make sense to like ascribe a quality to it and then say that's what it is, because it isn't anything. It's always kind of moving. Yeah, so I found that very like insightful or
Can you
like
give a
very well put.
could you give a concrete example of how you experience that? I'm trying to follow you, but it's a bit abstract.
Hmm. Um, so I'm trying to find an example.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot.
Um, yeah, so so when so it's not only that there's different parts, but for example, like now, um, I don't know, there's a part of me that wants to close the laptop and I don't know, go to the bathroom. And then of course that can also be something like that's there, but then if I just notice that it can also change because
Mm.
I'm noticing it or like so it's not that it be would be like a fixed authentic thing for me to do, but like if I just look at it, it changes. Or for me with emotions a lot, like when I'm very sad and then I realize that I'm sad, then it changes and it turns into something different. So yeah.
Yeah, 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 and I think that's a very fundamental part of this, right? Like so many people, like let's say globally speaking, are like, oh, I shouldn't voice my emotions, or I shouldn't feel my emotions because it's either too much for me or it's too much for, the people I'm with. But actually, in the simple act of allowing it, it actually takes so much of the tension off, right? There's one, I don't fully agree with the radical honesty method, but there's one sentence that I read in that book which I really like, and which is, often when you speak the truth, it changes. So the moment I say, you know what, I'm still angry with you because you didn't clean the kitchen this morning. I even feel now my body relax, even though it's fictional. It's funny. But then you're already less angry because, right? That's that kind of thing. Did anyone else have a thought or reflection or question?
I don't think I have a deep reflection on it, but I noticed myself relaxing, listening to you, and smiling and feeling relief at what you're
Mm.
sharing. I mean, like, yeah,